Hello everyone, and welcome to the review of the ENGWE C20. This is their latest model, and it's no longer a huge fat bike, but this one is a compact 20-inch foldable e-bike. So this is kind of a better option if you like ENGWE to get a city bike that doesn't take a huge amount of space, and it's also more lightweight than the bikes they were making before. The bike offers a lot of features such as front suspension, dual disc brakes. It has a gear shifter, of course, but there are still some e-bikes sold today that only have one single gear. The handlebar stem, it's adjustable and foldable. Seat post is also adjustable, and it uses semi-fat tires, so these are kind of wide tires for 20-inch. They are very comfortable and they soak out the bumps. But now the goodie starts, and I'm going to show you the most important thing. So the motor is a genuine BAFANG motor, offering good torque for the size of the bike. This motor can be used up to 27.5-inch wheels, so even for big bikes. So on a smaller bike with a smaller wheel diameter, it offers very good acceleration and very good torque. Then another thing, besides having this nice frame with the futuristic design, you can see that the part here, it's very wide, very thick. You can see here, so my hand for scale, this is very massive, and of course it's hollow inside. Here is the battery, but there's a catch. This bike is sold in two variants. This is the normal version that I'm going to review, and there is also a Pro version. The Pro version comes with a battery that is almost twice in size and has huge range. So without doing any kind of other stuff, you can either purchase that big battery or get the Pro version. So the bike will look the same, the size will be the same, and you can fit massive amount of range into it without doing any kind of modifications. And now I'm going to show you the dashboard. Actually, you will not get this. The basic model that I have here only comes with this. So you power this on, it has an indicator there that you barely see in daylight, and it shows you the battery level, and that's it. You have here the electric throttle, and you have the brakes, and you have a horn and light switch here, but you don't get a speedometer or other kind of indicator. On the Pro version, you get a big display here and has a lot more features in that model. Another interesting thing is the new folding mechanism, which is much more safe than the older bikes and older folding or other brands of folding in bikes. So you have this clamp here that you just untie, and then you have an extra security spring-loaded metal pin there, and only after you push this way you can actually fold the stem. So very good, and it no longer uses that plastic part that you need to rotate to secure the clasp that was holding the handlebar. So this locks into position by itself, and then now it's actually secured. It will not fold, but then you get the extra clamp that holds this in place, secures it, and you have this extra spring here that doesn't put extra tensioning on the folding mechanism, because on this type of folding mechanisms, if you put too much pressure, you adjust them wrongly, and you put too much pressure on them, they can actually break the wheels. There are also some other design particularities, such as partially hidden wire and cables. So you see that amount of cables that comes from the handlebar goes under the frame and then enters actually the frame, and through the frame where is the controller, the battery, then the motor wire comes out of the frame there. And also you get included the motor plug, which makes life a lot more easier in case you need to change the tire or have a flat tire. It's more easy to disconnect that cable and take the wheel completely out. Other comfort features include the folding pedals, and they are the good quality ones that have metal parts that fix together, so they don't wobble too much, and they are very resistant. Also, you have a quick release cure type front wheel, so when you fold this bike, if you want to make it even more compact, you can actually take the front wheel out very easily. Safety wise, you have actually not one but two keys. So you have one main key that turns of the battery and locks it into the frame. You can also unlock it and take it out of the frame, and you also get another key here, starter key. So if you don't have both keys, the bike will not start. So that's the general power there, and this will turn on the controller. The seat is also very comfortable. It uses very soft padding even in the front part of the saddle, and there's a lot of cushioning. Also underneath you get kind of a spring type suspension here with some rubber garments over the metal coils. The folding is done also very simple. Also, you can take out the battery very easily. Just unlock it with the key, remove the key from the lock, and then you have a nice integrated handle to pull out the battery. And let's check the specs from the battery. So we get the 36 volt 10 amp hour battery, 360 watt hour capacity, and it has a 50 amp current with inrush up to 60 amps, so plenty to run the bike from. And now it's time to ride it to see how this works, how it feels. I have installed my trusty GPS speeder here, so we know exactly the speed of this bike. This doesn't come with any kind of settings, so there's no switch for assisted mode, there's no switch for electric mode, nothing, and we don't know the speed. So that's going to be interesting. I just turn on the power. Well, let's see how this works. So I'm going to start by pedaling. Whoa, and the motor just kicked in. This doesn't have a torque sensor, it's just a cadence or speed sensor. But you just pedal a bit and you can hear the motor going right away pretty fast. And from the start I can sense that this motor has a very good acceleration. It actually has shocking torque. Don't imagine that this is a kind of a monster torque, but it has a powerful kick that exactly makes you feel that this bike is actually accelerating. So I'm on first gear, so this works very easily. I cannot turn off the assisted mode, but I can turn off the key. So now I have turned completely the assisted or electric mode. Now it's just normal bike, not e-bike. And the ride quality, it's absolutely awesome. So I usually don't ride bikes, especially small ones like this, without keeping the handlebar because of the weird geometry, weird shape, small size, small wheels. They are kind of impossible to ride with no hands. So you know that saying, look man, no hands, also no teeth, because you are going to fall down and break all your teeth. Not the case here. The bike, it's simply, I'm going to say it's weird, but it's actually not weird. It feels like I'm riding on a very big bicycle, not a 20-inch bike. It feels like I'm riding a, I don't know how to say it. It's like I'm riding a 27-inch wheel bike with normal frame. It feels so comfortable, and because I can adjust the handlebar height, I can ride it not crouched and lean toward the handlebar or weird position because they are sporty positions. No, I just want to ride for work or going to shopping and doing my commute in a normal possible way without feeling like I'm racing on the Tour de France with this bike. So the comfort It's absolutely stunning. So it feels not massive, it feels light, but like a full-size bike. And there also one thing that I need to check. So the bike doesn't have rear suspension, but it's also weird because no, I don't have a flat tire. It felt like I'm floating on air without actually having a suspension on the rear, so that's weird. So probably the combination of the seat and this balloon tire feels like when going over these small bumps like they are not present, or like you are riding on a flat wheel that takes all the shocks, but you don't have a flat wheel. Also, it seems that the tire profile here has some magic, because if you give it some momentum, it just runs and runs, and it doesn't have any kind of rolling resistance. So look at this speed here. Here is going to be a slight downhill there, and now it's just flat. So look at the speed. I'm not pedaling, I'm not doing anything, I'm not using electric. The bike rolls so easily without any kind of effort. And that's also because of the tires, because they don't have that aggressive mud profile with big indents on the tire just to make you push the bike and use the battery. I'm riding with no battery. The bike is off right now. Oh, how cool is that? That's really nice, and you can actually get some decent speed just with the pedals. The shifter also works really nice. It's an index seat shifter, but it's just entry level from Shimano. But this is going so nice. So no electric power right now. And we are doing 26 kilometers per hour. Already broke the laws of electric bikes going over 25 kilometers per hour with absolute no assistance. That was good, because we also need to test the brakes. And now I'm going to turn on power, so it's still assisting now. And brake, and it brakes perfectly, even though it doesn't have hydraulics or complicated stuff. They are normal cable pulled mechanical brakes, these brakes with single action arm, so rather basic, but they provide lots of stopping power. And they also feel very good in progression, so you can squeeze them gently or just lock the wheel. It's your choice. And now let's test the electric acceleration. So no pedaling, not going to do anything, just going to use the throttle at maximum. Wow, and that has even a bigger kick than the assisted mode. It simply pulls you a bit on the back. And let's see here. Top speed. So on electric mode you get 25 kilometers per hour exactly, because this bike is fully locked for complete European laws compliance, although it still has electric throttle that works. So it's interesting, but nonetheless there is no mode to unlock the speed for this bike, until now at least. So keep that in mind. This is a 25 kilometer per hour assisted or electric throttle e-bike, it will not go faster than that. But the acceleration, the torque, when using the accelerator, it's a lot. It works really nice. It has a lot of power. So we need also to test this uphill. I'm going to find a very steep hill and see how this goes in hard conditions, because on flat it accelerates pretty good. So I'm now at the base of this hill. This is a very steep incline, and all my 250 watt e-bikes and scooters really have a problem as they struggle to get uphill. So I'm going to try this with no assistance, no pedaling, nothing. I'm just going to use electric throttle and see if it goes uphill without helping it. So full power. We should also see here some GPS speed. Hope that you can see that on camera. You can hear the motor. The motor is pretty noisy, but I like it. It makes its presence felt. So I'm already doing 13 kilometers per hour uphill, and now this is the hardest part of them all. So you can see the speed has dropped to just 9 kilometers per hour. But this is very steep. On the camera it's not showing, but it is. So the worst part is now over and the bike is getting speed. If you are going uphill on something like a Xiaomi 250 watts electric scooter, that scooter will not make it uphill. You just need to get off of it and push it uphill, because it's not having that power. And the same happens with some smaller folding e-bikes, where this one has enough power to go uphill using its own motor force. Another thing that I like greatly is the front shock absorber. So I really enjoy it, because even going over big bumps, the suspension doesn't bottom out and doesn't do any kind of weird noise or rattling noise. So the front suspension really works great. And there's another thing that I like about this ENGWE. You might know that on the EP2 Pro model, they had an issue, actually not an issue, but they had a thing. The battery was slightly smaller than the frame space, so it had a bit of rattle. When you buy the bike, you just need to add just a tiny amount of felt pad or something, just to cover that space between the battery and the frame, so it doesn't rattle. Well, on this bike they did something, because there's no longer a rattle noise from the battery bumping into the frame. And the front suspension, I really enjoy the front suspension. You can go head on through all of the bumps. The front suspension will just take them with no noise and no complaints at all. Alright, so you have seen how this rides, how well it handles, how comfortable it is, and now it's time for some conclusions. The pros and cons that I always do, and I always find cons and I always have pros. So the bike is, I'm going to start with the pros this time. So the bike is very comfortable. It's extremely comfortable, not expected from the small 20-inch tires, and I don't know, because the tires are very soft and a bit fat, and the suspension, and with that very comfortable seat, the overall bike feels really pleasant going over bumps. But there's also something about the frame geometry, the shape, the size, and the possibility to adjust the seat and the handlebar. You can get a very good position. Another big pro is the motor. It has a very good torque. I was not expecting it to be that powerful, so probably because it's a BAFANG, I don't know, but it provides really good capability, even to go uphill, and it picks up speed very fast. Another thing that I like is the shifter. Although this is a very basic model, and besides coming properly adjusted, which should be normal, the selected gears here with this chain ring here, they are specially combined and very well proportioned with the bike top speed. So you can use all gears, and on last gear, which is actually the 7th gear, you are going to be pedaling fast enough just to keep 25 kilometers per hour. Another thing that I like is the headlight. It has a massive lens here, and that is visible also in daytime. It shines pretty good. You can use it as a daytime running light. You are going to be observed by pedestrians and cars. Also, it lights up pretty good, so that's very good for integrated headlight, because usually you get these mostly just because they are mandatory. Other thing that I like is that the bike is very silent. The suspension doesn't rattle, the battery doesn't rattle, pedals don't rattle, so it's a very well built quality bike. It doesn't make any kind of funny noises. You don't have to adjust anything to it. You just ride it. You only are going to hear the motor and the chain, and that's all. And now it's time for the cons, because there are also some cons. I don't like the fact that there is no display here. You don't know what speed you are doing. That is solvable by getting the Pro version if you really want to have that. And related to the missing display, you don't have any kind of mode selector switch or whatever. You only have one assisted mode that only works up to 25 kilometers per hour. It's a progressive assisted mode, so it picks up some speed and then just increases until you reach 25 kilometers per hour. Also, that one is related to the throttle here. So if you use throttle is up to 25 kilometers per hour. If you use assisted mode, it's up to 25 kilometers per hour. So both will do the same speed. In assisted mode, you need to pedal. In throttle mode, you just going to use the throttle. They are coexistent. They both work all the time. So if you start by accelerator and then start to pedal, the bike will figure out what you are doing. And if you release the throttle and still pedaling, it's still going to be assisted. Or if you start assisted and use the throttle, it will accelerate with the throttle if you are accelerating faster from the throttle until the assisted mode picks up. So I would have liked to see here at least selector, and with that to be able to choose from at least electric, assisted or off. Of course, you can always turn the key off and have no assisted mode. And last thing is related with the folding mechanism. The folding is super okay, but when you fold this, the bike doesn't have here any kind of support or anything else. So when this closes up, this chainring is going to be the lowest part of the bike, and that's going to hit the ground. So you need to take special attention to that. So that was it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this review, and until my next video, see you and bye bye.